Welcome to the Behavioral Insights for Business and Policy Ask Me Anything session, hosted by AshokaX. We are thrilled to answer all your burning questions regarding this program and how it can meet your goals. My name is Ragini, and I am joined today by Pooja Haldea, the lead faculty of the program. If you've ever wondered what does it take to take behavior science research outside of the research space to boardrooms, to government meetings, to everyday human choices and decisions, Pooja Haldia's career is a masterclass in that journey. Pooja began her career solving complex business problems at McKinsey, spending nearly a decade helping organizations understand customers, teams, and strategic decision making. On realizing her passion for human behavior, she moved on to join System 1, where she used behavior science to improve business outcomes. Moving on, she went on to form the founding team at the Center for Social and Behaviour Change at Ashoka University and helping establish India's first behavioral insights unit within the Indian government. Today, Pooja works across very different worlds, the corporate sector and the development sector, and translates behavioral insights into practical, elegant solutions, whether it's looking at nutrition interventions or helping product and marketing teams rethink communications and product adoption. Her focus remains on understanding real human behavior and designing for empathy and evidence. So today's Ask Me Anything session is your chance to connect with Pooja and ask her all your questions regarding the program, whether you're curious about the course structure or the learning outcomes, or just want to know more about the behavior science world. This is your chance to really ask those questions. We encourage you to keep dropping your questions into the chat box as the session continues. To cover as much ground as possible, we will start with a few common questions that we have received previously, and then we will shortly open the floor for your questions, where we will request you to unmute at that time and ask your question. Welcome, Pooja. We are so excited to have you here today. Could you please start by telling us a little bit about the Behavioral Insights for Business and Policy program?
Thank you, and thank you, Ragni, for the introduction. So let me start by this question, which is often asked that, what is this program all about? So the Behavioral Insights, actually the name also kind of tells us what it is, that it actually wears a dual hat, business and policy. The program is essentially about how we can apply behavior science to solve problems which come up either in the business world or in the development sector, i.e. the policy program world. Now, behavior science is obviously, it's a vast field. It takes principles from cognitive science, psychology, behavioral economics. And the core thing that behavior science tries to understand is why do people do what they do? And so this program is essentially going to apply the concepts and the tools from this field of behavior science on very concrete problems which you may see at work. So for example, if you talk about the development sector, one of the biggest issues that we find in public programs and policies is that the policies are put in place, but the adoption is low. So problems of adoption as to how do we get the last mile intent to action gap closed in public programs and policies. That would be one area that we'll deep dive into. And on the business side, we'll be looking at many areas of business where behavior science is very useful. So if you look at the digital world, it's behavior science is very applicable when it comes to UI UX design, when it comes to everything from customer acquisition, retention, engagement. So there's the use there. Of course, in business communication, marketing, and also strategic communication on how do you essentially move people from awareness to intent and from intent to action. Sales and marketing also, when we are talking about how to improve conversion, how to build brand loyalty, these all use principles of behavior science. So this program is going to do a very ambitious job, but cover the application of behavior science in both these fields. And one thing I wanted to say was that this is all about application. So there will be some amount of theory, but the bulk of this program is essentially focused on how can we apply concepts, theory, literature that already exists to real world solutions. And we're doing this through 2 weekly interactive sessions, which has multiple faculty. So I'm one of them. There's Pavan Mamidi, who's the director of CSBC, who's the second head. And then we have also invited many other faculty from different fields to approach this problem from their own perspective, to share what they have learned in the work that they do. So that's a very brief overview of this program.
So, Pooja, how does this program really differ from the other type of courses on behavior science that exist and are being offered today? What is special? What is unique about what we are doing?
Can you just give me 1 second? I'm extremely sorry. Just give me 1 second.
Sure. So as we're waiting for Pooja, this is a good time to sort of share some of the questions that you've come in with today. You would have read the prospectus, you would have seen the website. If there are any sort of clarifications, do feel free to use the chat box and put it in the box.
Apologies, there was some technical issue. Anyhow, what I was saying was, how is it different is that, so you asked me a question, how is it different? I think I've already touched upon some of those portions. So I think the biggest difference in this class versus many other courses which may exist on behavior science is that it focuses on application. The faculty, including me and others, are people who are coming from applying behavior science in the work that they do, whether it's in the development sector or whether it's in the business sector. So so it's a very good blend of theory and application where you are going to learn. So we have, for example, our team at CSBC helped set up the first nudge unit or behavioral insights unit within Niti Aayog. We've set such units up for the country in UP, in Bihar. We will have guest faculty who have worked in places such as McKinsey, of course, that's me, but then also, Jafar, who's coming, who's applied behavior science in a very private sector context, which is Swiggy. So I think if I had to put it, 2 or 3 key points is that we are going to go beyond, just surface level theory. We are going to delve quite deeply into what it actually takes to apply the real life issues that you face. The blend, the right balance of practicality when it meets theory, what does that look like? We have a diverse mix of faculty who have approached this in many different contexts. And of course, we have also designed this course in a way that it is, while bulk of it is online, we have actually allowed in-person gatherings as well, so that it's not, it also helps to build network of individuals who are all interested in this field. So those would be 2 or 3 things I would say which sets it apart from the typical courses you get on behavior science, which go much more into the theory of it, whereas this is going to be focused on it's a course done by practitioners for other practitioners.
Great. And in terms of who should really be taking this course, a lot of people ask us, is this course for me? I have no prior experience in the domain. I'm coming from with this much amount of work experience, a lot of work experience. Is it right for me? Or I'm coming with less amount of work
Right.
experience, is it for me? So what is your take on that?
My take on this is the following. If there are humans involved in the work that you do, then understanding behavior science will always be useful. We are not looking for people who come already with experience. In fact, we're not just looking for people who want to do only behavior science. I think, of course, behavior science as a tool is powerful enough in itself, but I also feel that for people who are actually in other parts of, the organization, if it's in the private sector, in sales and marketing, communication, product design, digital, uh, data sciences, or any part of, in the development sector, in organizations where you are helping run programs on the ground, learning a little bit about behavior science can be a very useful add-on to whatever work that you're doing. It actually makes you more effective, especially when any of these issues that you're facing involve people. It gives you a lens, it gives you a tool on which to approach pretty much every problem that you encounter. So I would say that this course is actually meant to be very inclusive. We will get people from very diverse backgrounds. We hope to get, we always get, and even in our previous cohorts. And in fact, one of the beauty of it is also because we bring people from different backgrounds with different levels of interest, with different problems that they need to solve, that also makes for a very rich classroom environment.
Understood. So we have a question in the chat that asks, is 8 weeks really enough to understand all relevant concepts? Will we be focusing only on some core concepts? So Pooja, could you touch upon maybe some of the tools, techniques, skills? What kind of learning outcomes will we be focusing on in these 8 weeks?
So, for any skill in the world, 8 weeks is not enough. So I will never promise and I'll never say that, at the end of 8 weeks, we're all going to be experts in behavior science. But what it will help us to do, and which is what we hope to do, as I said in my previous answer as well, is to give us a new set of tools, new set of lens with which we can approach problem. And then, of course, you will become, the more you apply it in your real life, in your everyday world, the more skilled you will get. But I can talk about 3 or 4 things that we will learn. So I think the first part of the course is focused a lot on the research element. That is qualitative and quantitative methods of looking at a problem behaviorally, understanding behavioral barriers, understanding the whys behind people's behavior. So I think there's a tool set which is around doing behaviorally informed research, whether it's qualitative and quantitative, and we will introduce some tools and frameworks within that. Then there is a part of the course which is all about designing solutions, where we will be actually talking about some frameworks in the design. What does it take once we've understood, we've diagnosed, we've done the research, we have figured out the barriers, we figured out the facilitators, then how do we go about designing, how do we use behavioral concepts and frameworks to design solutions which can overcome those barriers. And lastly, I think what the program will help us do is to, by sharing case studies from both within and outside India, it will help us both calibrate which are the areas in which behavior science can be applied, what is the level of impact one should expect, and then also some do's and don'ts of applying behavior science in the real world. So I think the tools will be on the research side and on the design side, and then a lot of hopefully wisdom shared by practitioners on when you go back and do your work on Monday morning, what are some of the practical things to keep in mind.
Okay. And are there any opportunities, to build projects for a portfolio or something that we can take back to the workplace and sort of showcase our learning? Would there be any opportunities for that?
So I think one of the things and I find that the most fascinating and the interesting part of this course is that at the end, all the whole class gets divided into groups, and they do what we call capstone projects, where the group itself chooses, interesting problems, and then go about using the frameworks and everything that they've been taught in the course to actually do the diagnosis, do the design, and come back with recommendations. And we've also had students and course members in the past who've actually picked up life problems that they are probably facing in their current workplace, and use this project to actually diagnose and come up with solutions for that. I mean, I think there was a doctor a few years back who was on one of the courses, and their group picked up something around public spitting, and then that led for that doctor to work on a campaign which was all around increasing desire, basically around how do we prioritize cleanliness amongst people who don't care about it, and so on and so forth. And then we've also had people who have done projects which are about leadership, some leadership issues in their organization, and so on and so forth. So I think one of the things that at the end of the project, the last 3 or 4 weeks, it gives an opportunity for people to actually pick up problems that they may be struggling with, problems that they have given some thought to, and then use the tools and frameworks that we'll teach and apply them. And then, of course, get feedback from faculty on how to make it better.
Great. I hope that answers your questions, Sahib and Dr. Abhiram. If you have any follow-ups, please feel free to send us a follow-up question in the chat and we'll take it up. Any questions on logistics, we'll be happy to take up separately, and we will be sharing the links to that in the chat shortly as well. Moving on, we can go to the next slide. Pooja, would there be any networking opportunities in the program? Or,
Yes,
yeah, that's it.
yes, absolutely. So I think that, over the last few years that we've run this program, I think we've often got this feedback that students or people who attend these courses get a lot of value from actually interacting with other people. And so we are planning to have at least one in-person gathering that will probably be in Delhi, which will hopefully allow us to all meet and therefore, build connections and network with people in the field. I do think that this field is still quite niche, it's still small, and I think that knowing other people who are both in the field, who are interested in this field is also, it's very useful. And so that's really the way we have currently structured. And also what we have is, apart from the the course, the core course that is going to happen, we're also putting the program structure also has weekly discussion sessions, which you are actually discussing what you have learned, questions, thoughts with people within the group. So you get a lot of chance to interact with other members. So it's not just a complete lecture style thing where the faculty comes and speaks for 2 hours and then goes away. By the way, even the faculty sessions, they are very interactive. They're pretty lively. They're often two ways. So those are the three things. I mean, the core sessions are quite interactive, but then, as I said, we've also put in place weekly discussion sessions, which I meant just for the course members to talk, discuss, add. And then, as I said, we are planning for in-person gathering as well, where you can meet people.
Yeah. And in the past, we have had cohorts who informally create a lot of WhatsApp groups and, in-person meetups on their own as well. Like once the camaraderie sort of builds up in the class, they sort of take it and extend it into their own journeys as well. So, before we jump into the next question, I see a question by Anjali, which connects to, the question of, is this program for me? So, are there any pre-requirements in terms of hard skills needed for people to make the most of the program?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And I think I did touch upon some bits of it earlier. But just to reiterate, the answer is no. This program is actually designed keeping in mind that all the people, all the students who are going to be in this program have already some work that they're doing. They're either in the development sector or they're doing, something in the private sector, whatever it may be. And the program is only meant to enhance the skills and the tools that people already have. It's not and so therefore and therefore the course is quite accessible in that sense. There will be, of course, a few technical topics that we will touch upon, especially when we talk about quantitative research. There will be some things around research methods. There may also be some technical things when we talk on the design side, but you will be also given pre-readings and other reading material, just so that it's not something that you cannot follow in the class. So the short answer is that no, there is no prerequisite required in terms of hard skill. I think the only thing we require are people who are interested in learning about behavior science, and especially people who encounter on a day-to-day basis issues with behavior change. Yeah.
Anjali, please feel free to drop a follow-up question as well if you'd like to, understand a bit further. Uh, Pooja, could you share with us a little bit about how are people actually using the learnings for this program beyond the program? What are past learners doing? Any inspiring stories for us?
I think there are a couple of things that have been quite inspiring for us from the last few cohorts. I think there have been cases where people have, after the course, decided that this is a field that they are very interested in. It is something that they feel they want to know more about. And so we've had a student who then immediately went and did a master's in behavior science, now works as a life coach. So this program helped them to um, exposure to this field of behavior science and created like a lifelong interest, I guess, and so on. So it guided their career choices. But also, and which we find very rewarding is when people in the programs use what they have learned in the work that they're doing. We had a student, Aishwarya, who used insights from the course to build her business, and basically she created tools which helps building introspection and team building activities within organization. We had another Sanjay, who he was again from the tech world, who used learnings from this to improve, they were in the tech business, to improve user experience, in their product and so on. So typically what we find is that some people who come in here 2 or 6, 8 weeks and then realize that this is something they want to go deeper in, and then they follow this as a way to further studies and so on and so forth. And then of course we've had very good stories of people who have found these courses useful from a practical perspective and have applied it to their business or into the programs and policies that they are running.
Great. And we have a question around when do we get the material to study? I think as soon as you enroll into the program, we have already started sharing material with our enrolled learners. So do reach out and we'll be in touch with you if you have any other questions. So we're turning towards the conclusion of this session. So at this point, if you have been listening in and you have a question that hasn't been answered, or just want to talk about behavior science, this is your opportunity to actually talk to Pooja and get some of your curiosity quenched. So opening it
There is
out to
one problem that there's one question I see from Dr. Ibrahim saying, what's the use in medical field? So I can just say that actually medical field, and especially health, there's a tremendous amount of work that we do even at CSBC, which is in this area, both with health workers such as ASHAs, with end users, mothers, on maternal health and so on, but also, behaviors of medical staff within hospitals. So these are all areas where, again, there is often an issue, at the last mile behavior. Just to give you some examples, we've done work on with pregnant women on how to reduce anemia. So basically, how can we get them to take adherence, issues of adherence, taking medical pills. We worked with ASHAs on how, for example, how can they improve their counseling on various things to women. Currently, we're looking at nurses within hospital settings to see there are certain procedures that they need to do. How can we better get them to do those behaviors? So I think medical field, especially, I think the applications of behavior science are not only, I mean, many, but also you will hear several examples in this course of work where behavior science has been used in the medical field.
Great. All right. Um, so no follow-up there. All right. So thank you so much, Pooja, for taking out time to share all the details. There's another question come up. Okay. How is behavioral science used in investing? So anything in the financial sector space, financial inclusion, or even more broadly, would love to know more about that.
Yeah, so behavior science, of course, in investing, that's a whole different field on how we can use behavior science for better investments, portfolio management, and so on and so forth. I think that this course will not be specifically looking at investing. Though I think a lot of the concepts that we're going to be talking about should be relevant there as well. Of course, when it comes to finance sector, there are two areas which we will be definitely touching upon. One is, of course, financial inclusion, and then the other bit is fintech. There are a lot of fintech companies which have come up in the private sector, and so we've done a lot of work on how fintech companies can improve their product, improve uptake, and so on and so forth. So there'll be definitely discussion around that.
We have Dr. Shagda who has done a lot of work with experimental finance.
Yes, very
Uh,
much so. In fact, Dr. Shagata comes from the field of finance. Investing is also something that I think he's looked at. And he's the third faculty along with me and Dr. Pawan Mamidi. I also wanted to mention we have a couple of very interesting guest lectures that is there. So one, of course, we have uh, we have someone who is actually joining us. That's Jafar, who is applied extensively behavior science in the private sector, Swiggy being one such place, but he continues to do that. We have Nirat, who is a partner at Dalberg, and he has built very interesting behavior change tools. You know, ABCD, you can used to be a partner at Dalberg. Now he runs this company called ABCD, which is Atlas for Behavior Change and Development, which is basically a very interesting tool he has developed on how using AI, how practitioners can use behavior science. We also have someone, because one of the core things that we're going to learn in behaviors in this course is around storytelling. Storytelling is a very powerful tool when it comes to behavior change. And instead of us telling you about storytelling, we have someone who directed, someone from the movie world, is person who directed Pink. He'll be coming and talking to us, and he was in advertising before that. So he's going to be coming and talking to us how storytelling, the importance of storytelling, and how stories need to be told for behavior change. So we've also tried to curate a very interesting set of guest lecturers who are coming from many different fields, but all who have applied this work in the work that they do. So hopefully that'll also, so the breadth of this course is going to be quite wide. I think it'll definitely give you exposure to pretty much all the concepts which exist in behavior science and all different types of applications. Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Pooja, for taking us through the details with so much clarity and insight. And to everyone who took out the time to come in, thank you for your participation, your questions. We know that it's in the middle of the work day, so we appreciate it. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to the email address and phone number. We are just dropping the details in the chat box. If you're ready to apply, please do so on the link that has been shared previously on the chat, and we shall share that again. And stay tuned on our social media channels so that you can stay updated on all the new and upcoming programs that we keep launching. And I hope this has been insightful for everyone. Our lines are open. If your question hasn't been answered today, do drop us an email and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.